Now, John.
You can't hide forever.
Complete global saturation.
The human race is just so much chaff. Oh, God. Trying to remember what else he said.
I know. It's like 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I have to play.
You failed me.
Chris!
Liquid.
Right on. Stay ready.
Oh, God. And that is how the podcast begins. Oh, dear.
Hello, everyone. Well, welcome to our podcast that we've started.
Hello.
We finally got round to doing one.
Indeed. Well, when was the last time we did one? And
we did. It was. I know why we both
recorded and never uploaded.
I know why we're both laughing actually, because it's the one time of the white phosphorus cloud. We've got loads, just never uploaded.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. I remember that.
That was about 4 years ago. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
Anyway, so we started it finally. So,
yes.
Any news? Do you have anything interesting to share with me, Jared?
Any news? Well, we may as well start with the latest, Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3, yes, because you have Far Cry 3. Tell me about it.
Yes, I do. I have it on PC. And the game itself, brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I've seen one website describe it as like Skyrim with guns, and I totally agree with that.
Is it? Oh, good God. That's
so awesome. The map is huge.
How big are we talking, like? In comparison to Skyrim, so we can make that comparison.
Ooh. That's a tough one.
I
would say potentially same size, probably a bit smaller, but
okay.
It feels big.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
And I mean, I've still got like 3/4 of the map yet to uncover, so it's one of those. It's suffered from a few issues starting out.
Oh, why? But is it still a bit buggy like some games these days?
It's quite a big issue. It's easy to get around, but I mean, you shouldn't have to. The problem is when you're playing the game, if you hit escape to go to the menu,
yeah,
and then you hit escape again to leave the menu, the game pretty much you're stuck. It won't go back into it.
Oh no, that's not gonna do well for me, because that's for me. That's that instinct. Escape again.
Yeah. Well, even if you press the buttons to go back out of the menu.
Oh right, that bugs it up as well.
Yeah, it's something to do with basically it's not getting a connection to the service. It's a bit DRM.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be. But if you set Uplay, which is what Far Cry runs through, because for some reason the UK can't get it on Steam.
They can't?
Apparently not.
But they can get it anywhere else, but they just can't get it on Steam.
Yeah, anywhere else. You can get it in shop. You can, I don't know, can you, I mean, you couldn't get it on Steam. I don't know if they've now corrected this.
I'm just having a look. Because Steam and games sometimes, who's Far Cry done by again? I can't remember.
It's Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, yeah, of course, it's Uplay, silly me.
Far Cry 1 and 2 are on there. It's on Steam in other countries, but not here.
That is really odd. No, I don't see it at all. Oh, no, I don't see it at all.
Yeah, it's not there. I've got it sort of through mine, by adding a non-Steam game, but and the Steam pop-up stuff works in it.
Yeah,
it all works. But
that's really weird. That is. I find that really bizarre. There's probably some news article somewhere that would explain all that.
Yeah, probably. But I mean,
any good game.
I got what's it called? Special Ultimate whatever edition.
Oh dear! Why? What comes with this then?
It basically comes with like a bobblehead hula girl, but the head of the hula girl is actually the boss. The psychotic guy.
Oh no! I hate you so much.
It's really awesome. Although apart from that huge issue, which you can fix by setting Uplay to offline mode. So.
All right.
Only problem with that is you then can't play the multiplayer or have the scoreboard stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they fixed the issue. I don't think they have yet. They've apologized for it, but other than that, no fix yet. Yeah, the only other issues I've had with it, and they're a bit silly.
Okay.
There are some areas where you can walk under. It's kind of like a mini little dock harbor thing. So like
Okay.
little wooden platform. You can sneak under it while a guy's on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then try and take him out silently.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can spot you through it, which is fine because they can see through the gaps.
Mm.
But they can punch you through it.
Oh dear.
Because I'm like under there, they're shooting at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll shoot at them, it'll be fine. And all of a sudden, he does a punching animation, and I die. Despite the fact there's like 3 inches of wood between us.
No, that's fine. That's fine. He's just that strong.
Yeah.
But apart from all those, is it a good game? Like
yeah, it's a gorgeous game. It runs. Some people have had FPS issues. I've not had anything like that.
Oh right. Well, your computer's a bit of a beast, isn't it? No.
Well, yeah, true.
So I mean, that's a bit unfair. Oh god. So how does it play then? Like, because I've played Far Cry 2. Is it sort of the same?
Sort of the same, yeah. First person, guns, melee weapons, so on and so forth. You have skill unlocks this time.
Okay.
So as you level up, you get to unlock new skills like silent takedowns and then like chain takedowns, upgrades to different things. But kind of a cool thing in it is that, let's say you want to carry more ammunition.
Okay.
You can go hunting certain animals.
Oh wow.
Then you have to skin them, and then you can use their skins to craft like larger ammo pouches or larger quiver pouches and so on. Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool. Apparently, sorry, continue.
There's a whole load of side missions. To get like the ultimate upgrades, you have to do certain side missions, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like you can't just run down, do it all in one go at the start, and then do it. You're limited at certain parts where you have to go and do other stuff.
I suppose because you're in a different location, because I remember that there was a sort of like a side quest, if you will, which was to find those diamonds hidden around, wasn't it?
Yep.
Is there something similar to this?
Yeah, there are relics now, little kind of like stone statues that you can find.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what they give you.
Oh.
Because I know the whole point of the diamonds in the second one was basically so you could end up buying every weapon.
Yeah. Okay.
But in this one, the weapons will become free in shops as you basically free up these radio towers around the map.
Oh, okay.
It opens up new weapons, which can be purchased, and then with each tower, certain weapons will become free. So I'm not sure what finding the relics does yet, but I think there's well over 100 of them.
Oh wow! Well, I remember there being a load last time.
Yeah, I think there were like 200 odd.
There was a lot.
Yeah.
So what exactly is the storyline? Because I remember watching the trailer, and it was basically, from what I could grasp, a group of friends, they go to a tropical island just to have a fun time, and you can just see them. Basically, it's like a handheld camera recording of them having a good time. But then something goes wrong. They do something, and they basically all of them die except one person, your character, and that's the beginning of the game. From my understanding of the trailer, I don't know.
More or less right. Apart from all your friends are fine at the start of the game.
Yeah. And
you all get kidnapped, and you're basically held for ransom.
Oh.
And then you escape, and you got to go rescue your friends. And
okay.
It's a bit like in number 2, where some of his allies ended up getting imprisoned, and you had to go rescue them and stuff like that. But no, it's pretty. Yeah, you pretty much got it right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good. So, how does it start in terms of weapon-wise? Then, so I'm a bit interested into what do you start off with? Anything, or do you just
Initially, you have your knife, which is kind of standard in the Far Cry game because you use it for collecting things and so on. You can do melee attacks with it. You go and buy a pistol to start with, and then you can go off and do your missions, collect money.
Okay.
But one of the things I went and bought almost straight away. This is like in the first hour of the game.
Yeah. You
can get a bow and arrow.
It's
a modern one. A bit like Hawkeye has.
Oh god, yes.
And it's gorgeous. And it took a little bit of getting used to because if you add one of the sights to it, you get the whole distance meter thing. So like aim here if you want 0 to 50 meters, and then like 50 to 100 and 100 to 500.
Oh, wow.
It's just so awesome. Because it's arrows. If you kill someone with your arrow,
can you pick up the arrows?
Yeah. You can run up to the body, grab your arrows back, start firing at someone else.
Can you pick up weapons, by the way?
Yeah. You can pick up whatever weapons your enemies drop.
Okay.
You're limited to how many you carry.
Okay.
You can actually only carry one weapon unless you go hunting to create a larger like holsters, and then you can carry eventually up to 4 weapons.
Right. Okay.
And then on top of that, you can carry like grenades, Molotovs, mines, C4, stuff like that. So it's pretty sweet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's pretty good.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We're going to have a video on it at some point.
Yes, we are. Yes,
I
believe you are. Anyway, you're doing the review because you have the game. I'm still a poor penniless student at the moment. So
it'll probably just be like a Hawkeye style mashup of me running through. Arrowing people.
Oh dear. I was just while we was talking, I did a quick research on why Steam is not allowing the game for the UK, and no one seems to know why. Because it exactly as you described it, it's just not on the UK. It's on others. So if you want to get the Russian version, you can do, but you're gonna have problems running it. I think the problem is with Uplay, because that is their sort of system, and it requires that to play the game because, as you said, there's the DMR thing going on. So,
but having said that, other countries have got it on Steam with no problem.
That's a good point. I don't know.
I know someone, they've just guessed at this, but they kind of said that apparently companies get a lot of pressure from our retail companies over here.
Yeah.
Basically, so I don't know whether they pressured Ubisoft to not put it on Steam.
I don't know, because there was a period of time where it was between, I think, EA for Crisis 2. Their
yeah, they pulled it off, didn't they?
They pulled it off, but back then it was nothing to do with, because that was around the time that Origin was coming out, and EA, everyone was thinking, oh, it's to make an exclusive thing for EA. Apparently, it wasn't that. It may have been, but. Yeah. They're saying it wasn't. What they're saying is that the terms of use for Steam, they didn't really quite agree with that, EA. So maybe it's another issue of that. I don't know. But again, like you said, it's on others, but it's not for the UK. It's weird. It's bizarre.
Oh.
Anyway, but seeing as we mentioned the game, I think I might as well bring up my bit of news.
Okay.
Not much of the news. It was about Skyrim, actually. There is another DLC coming out very soon.
All right.
There's a teaser of a trailer. It doesn't reveal too much, but it's called Dragonborn. Okay. So apparently you can ride dragons in this one. This is going to be pretty badass.
Oh, wow.
There's lots of other little added mechanics in there as well. I think I may be wrong in this. If you can't already do it, we'll be able to do it in this DLC where you can ride horses and actually fight on the horse now.
Oh,
so
rather than your horse just running in and getting
exactly. But if, like me, you don't have enough money, and you're probably not going to be able to get that for a while, because, like me, I haven't got the other DLC, Dawn Guard. There was an interesting article I was reading about how this person has 100 mods running at once for...
God, I saw that, yeah.
And the graphics for it, my God, you'll be so impressed. I think there will be a link to this in the post anyway.
Yeah, I saw it. It's basically, they're photographs, let's face it.
I know, they are absolutely so orgasmic photographs. But the guy was saying that unless your computer is absolute badass, and even at that point, you're going to be struggling to run. That is how graphic intensive it is. Just the grass. This is just the grass.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think that is pretty much like the most power hogging mod in the whole thing there.
Yes, it's just the grass itself, but it just adds so much. I mean, there's other things added in there as well. There's the water one, which makes it a bit more realistic. All the texture packs have been converted to HD, over HD basically. It's like 2056, I think, is the next one up from that 1080 or whatever. But it's really detailed.
Yeah.
The tattoos and just everything is being on overdrive. But I'm just really impressed by just some of these photographs. It's so stunning.
Yeah, it was.
It's absolutely. But the link should be in the post. The article does because it was sort of an interview with the guy that was running the game as well. He does mention some of the mods he added, but like I said, there was 100 mods he was using at that time. So he can't remember them all. I know what that feels like. He actually has like over 300, but only 100 are activated or something like that. So yeah, he can't remember them all, but the ones there, like the grass, is there if you want to try that out. So yeah, I do recommend looking at it. Well.
Reminds me a bit of the. I always pronounce it wrong. It's either IC Enhancer or Ice Enhancer for Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yes, I know what you're about. Yeah.
God, that thing is gorgeous. I think we've got a video of one of the older versions of it. I'm thinking of doing another updated video with a more up-to-date one.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, God, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's just every part of it is just fantastic. It's how the game should have looked.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, apparently the next, if we're on about it anyway, is the GTA 5, which is coming out soon.
I know.
Their graphics have been improved, and to be honest, I can't see how you can improve that much more, because maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like they're almost on par with what you're on about in terms of graphics.
Yeah, it was very
GTA 5. It looks a lot more, I don't know how to call it, but realistic maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. You can give it realistic, yeah.
But, yeah.
Improved.
It improved. It's like 0.5, like if PlayStation 3.5 or Xbox 360.5. It's like in between to the next generation. It's kind of that feel to it. I thought might be disproven when you play the game, but other than the graphics, because there's more to a game than the graphics, obviously.
Yes.
Storyline wise, well,
I know, yeah.
I think I'm going to enjoy that, because you said to me that it's not just one character, isn't that correct? It's 3 characters now.
It is 3, and you can pretty much swap between them when you like.
That's pretty cool, though. So you don't have to actually start the game with that one character and then just play it all the way through to the end, and then start again with the other character. You can actually swap midway.
Yeah, it'd be pretty
during
much
game to another character.
They almost have they have kind of their separate missions, but they all eventually kind of know each other as well, so they'll end up together on missions as well.
Oh, so the stories sort of intertwine with one another.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the big examples they gave, because obviously they don't want to give too much away about it, is that there's one mission where your main guy, he is abseiling down the side of a building. He smashes through the windows to save this guy, who's then surrounded by the game's version of FBI agents. And obviously they're all pointing their guns at your main character.
Yeah.
Now you're suddenly presented with the option of either staying there, trying to deal with it, or swapping to your other character who is set up as a sniper in the building opposite.
Oh, that's clever. That is. I like that. I really like that. That does also introduce the possible element of multiplayer as well, almost. I don't know if they're going to add that, but it'd be kind of interesting. You know, there is that element there. If you've already set up the mechanics so that these characters are intertwining, where you've got scenarios where almost you need a co-op to do it, then there is opportunity to do that, I would have thought. Be kind of cool.
I don't know. They didn't reveal much about. Well, actually, they didn't reveal anything about multiplayer.
No.
But it would be interesting to see, considering obviously it's set in San Andreas.
That's right.
And we all know that the old San Andreas had multiplayer.
Yeah, that's quite correct.
So you went to certain sections, and then your friend with the other controller could jump in, and so
hours of fun that was. Jumping out of airplanes with parachutes and
I know.
Pulling them the
fly as high as possible, see who survives. That's all we did. And of course, the customary, who can survive the longest with the police stars.
Dear. That was hours of fun. Yeah. That'd be interesting to see if that can come back again. Definitely would be.
Yeah, it'd be really nice.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so yes, on with more news. Well, I'm going to completely change it from gaming topic anyway and talk about North Korea, because I love North Korea.
Okay. Right, okay.
Completely random. Well, it's preparing another long-range rocket. I don't know if you read that a bit early in April about the long-range rocket it sent off. No, you didn't hear? Oh, God, you're not with it, are you? You're not with the current latest news. Well, North Korea is being popular as it is. It's basically testing a program now of trying to get some of these rockets to go further than it possibly has, because the technology is actually not accessible to all nations. The States is probably the only one that can fire the rockets the furthest at the moment, possibly China second. But
what about us?
No. Well, yes, and no. It's a complicated issue because a lot of our military is actually tied in the States, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I might be completely wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that we cannot fire any nuclear weapons without first telling the United States or their consent.
Really?
It's like, I think because it's just how either the nuclear submarines are not our own or something, or so it's something silly like that. I don't know if that's true nowadays, but I think that was the case during the Cold War. It may. I was just reading something about it. Anyway, on with the news article. Mm-hmm. But North Korea is anyway messing around with its technology at the moment to try to fire its rockets to the furthest. And it made a test back in April. Mm-hmm. And it was a huge flop. The trajectory was obviously into outer space, and it was going over Japan. So everyone was like, no, not liking this. So a lot of military tension that way. Mm-hmm. But then it crashed into the Pacific Ocean anyway. It didn't really go that far, pretty much. Making another test. Hopefully, it's saying, I say hopeful, but it's between the 10th and 22nd of December. And then this is amidst a lot of tensions already happening in the region. The one thing that is significant to note is that South Korea has its elections between those dates as well. It's going through president's elections, exactly. So they believe...
Sorry, accidentally landed on you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the trajectory of this one is. I'm going to presume it's the same one, which is going over to Japan again. But there's been lots of tensions between the three nations, South Korea and Japan, with North Korea. There is this deliberate provocation, if you will, that it's not a coincidence that this is the dates that they are going to be doing around. But also, maybe not so cynical, is that it also will be around the year since the last leader, Jim Il, died as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it's maybe to commemorate that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting and worth to note.
Yes.
Because, well, that's what it was. Just that out there.
I guess the Mayans were right.
Exactly. But it's kind of interesting because it's a nation that is very rogue. It's a nation that requires a lot of its money because this program requires a lot of money to fund. You need to X amount of resources and fuel just to get a rocket up. And it's a nation that relies to get this income for this project to sell arms. And it's interesting because of how all events around the world are tied in. Because where's it selling its arms to? Where else but Syria? Yeah. And what's happening in Syria at the moment? There's a civil war going on in Syria. And so it's interesting how all these are tied in. And then prior to that, there's another world event, which is Iran. And they're developing their nuclear reactor at the moment. And guess who's helping them as well? North Korea. So, well, I say helping them, maybe it's a bit too loose in term, but there's components going back and forth.
Yeah.
So you got all this collaboration going on, and it's like this rogue nation going screw everything. We're going to do what we want. But it's interesting how all these sort of tie into one another.
Well, I think we've depressed everyone enough.
I think we've depressed everyone.
Wonderful. Well, on to a different topic.
Yes.
Now, we're both fans of Star Trek, I do believe. I think that's fair to say.
That's fair to say. It's a good.
Now, what's your favourite Star Trek series? Which would you say?
Oh, you have to ask that question, don't you? Well, it's really tough, but I'm going to have to say, trying to kill me, Voyager. Just for the fact, bear with me. I did grow up with that series. Next Generation, I only watched parts of, so that would come second. But I'm going to say Voyager.
Yeah. I agree with you.
You agree with me there? Okay, good.
It's one of my favourite. I think because it was just so different from the others.
Yeah.
Because it was... I mean, the others were obviously heavily focused on the characters as well. Yeah. But this one, you just felt more... You felt more like you were getting to know them better because it was their ship on their own.
Yeah, it's just an interesting situation overall. I mean, you're in this quadrant which is completely unexplored in the galaxy, and they're X billion light years away from home. There's going to be no hope. They've got it's basically survival, which is it's always interesting. When you I find it's always an interesting storyline of survival because you don't always have. There's no easy scapegoat, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's not like they can just call for backup. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
But that brings me on to my topic.
I'm
glad you picked Voyager. Because I, just 2 days ago, discovered that there is a series of books that carries on straight after the end of Voyager.
Now that is interesting. Who is this official canon? Is it now, or is it just? I like to know these things because
I'm not entirely sure whether it's official canon, but the woman who wrote them, she, from what I can gather, she pretty much spent the best part of 10 years getting ready to write them.
That's good enough for me.
So I've read probably the first 100 or so pages of the first book.
Oh yeah,
and it just feels perfect.
Oh great.
The characters feel right. It feels like you feel like you're watching it.
Does it literally, continue?
Yes.
Since like Voyager goes through, I can't remember what it was now.
It was literally a case of, I don't know, should I say? I mean, is it really a spoiler considering how old Voyager is now?
Well, considering it, we know that. Okay, we're going to say it. We're going to spoil it. If you don't want to listen to the spoiler, I recommend you stop now and skip ahead.
Yeah.
Voyager finally arrives at Earth after, Janeway goes back in time, basically.
Yeah, Admiral Janeway back in time helps them destroy the Borg transwarp hub, and then Voyager ends up back in the Alpha.
Yes, because they use one of the that's right. They use one of the networks, don't they?
One of the transwarp conduits. Yeah.
And so literally, they arrive in the Alpha Quadrant and they're back home.
Yeah, it is. The books literally start off from Voyager is making its way slowly back to Earth in the Alpha Quadrant. It's like in the solar system, and it's flying back, and it starts from there.
Oh wow!
And I didn't know this, but the first book came back out in 2003.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the next book. Is apparently it was out in August this year, so it's been
quite a while. That has.
Yeah, so it's ongoing. There are let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books.
Wow. So what do these books follow? Who are they following? Are they following the crew of Voyager? Or?
Yeah, they're following the crew. Yeah.
Okay, so they're all still on Voyager. They still have adventures, if you will. They still have missions, but now.
I think.
How does it go?
I think the characters end up, being because obviously Janeway gets promoted to Admiral, which means she can no longer be a captain of the starship.
So
and then Chakotay gets promoted, and he becomes a captain of a starship, and so they all go their sort of almost separate ways.
Okay.
But from what I can gather, just from the titles of some of the books, I think that in a way they all eventually end up coming back and working together, not necessarily on board Voyager.
Yeah,
but majority of them are on board Voyager, and the book does focus on Voyager because otherwise it wouldn't be Voyager.
I think that's really good. I know you haven't read too much about it, but do you know what sort of the story arc is? Like, what is there a main event or something that is happening in the background? Or
the event of the first book is more a case of they're back and how they adjust to being back, because obviously in the story it was so sudden.
Yeah,
1 minute they were in the Gamma Quadrant with the Borg, and the next they're home. So it kind of focuses on the characters themselves and how they adjust. But the first 2 books are it's part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the end of the first book is pretty much will be a cliffhanger to start off in the second one. I've read the synopses of the second one, and it seems that. It comes across that Voyager may have accidentally bought some kind of new Borg nanoprobes with it that are starting to assimilate Earth.
That comes from the actual original story, doesn't it? Because it isn't it the case? I'm just trying to replay it in my head that 7 of Nine's no, not 7 of 9. Excuse me, what I'm saying, but the Doctor's emitter has Borg technology in it from the future.
Oh, is it Borg technology in it?
Yeah, that's his mobile emitter. That's correct. His mobile emitter, which allows him to walk anywhere, like going away missions and everything. It's only possible because of that one episode where there, for some reason, because it's mobile. No, that's right. Start this again. His mobile emitter is from the future already, or something.
Yes, from the 29th century.
Yes, it's brought back, and there's an episode where Borg technology gets intertwined with it.
Oh, of course, where one gets created, yes.
That's right.
I completely forgot about that, yeah.
So maybe it's from that. I don't know somehow.
But basically, the crew of Voyager get blamed, and then Earth is slowly being assimilated, and it goes from there.
Oh,
Well, see, I believe that's just the story for the second book, though.
Yeah.
So I think the third and fourth book are also kind of one story.
Ah.
And then I'm not sure about the sixth and seventh. They may be.
Okay.
Because I can sort of tell you some extra stuff if you like.
Yeah, sure. I'm intrigued now.
The first, let's see, 4 books are based over the course of the year 2377 when Voyager gets back.
That's right, yeah.
And 2378. So it takes a course of like 2 years for these first few books.
Okay.
Then the fifth book actually goes from 2378 to 2381.
Oh.
So it covers quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then the next few books are all in the same year. So it covers a lot. But I can give you a quick list of the old characters that are still in it.
Yes, please do.
So we've got Janeway, she's in it. We've got Chakotay.
Yeah.
We've got the Doctor.
Yep.
Something called Andrew Ellis. I'm not sure who that is. He might be a new character.
Okay. I can't.
Then there's Harry Kim.
Yeah.
Tom Paris is still in it.
Yeah.
B'Elanna's still in it.
Uh-huh.
7 of 9.
Okay, great.
Of course. And then we have a few new characters as well. So.
Oh, great.
But from the little write-ups I can see on them, majority of them are on board Voyager, so it is still focused on Voyager itself.
Okay. It's still on Voyager itself. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I'm glad that there's books about that because we're playing Star Trek Online, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And which basically continues the storyline, but not immediately after. It's like I think it's like 30 years almost after that, or something silly.
Yes, quite a few. Yeah.
And so it's always been in my mind because there are elements now of the erosion and all that coming into the Alpha Quadrant and etc. So it's always been in my mind what happened after they arrived back because it's never really made clear. But I'm glad that someone has gone into great detail and done a lot of research and said, right, okay, I'm going to make this a perfect, almost, if the writers wrote this, it would be like this. And I'm glad. I think it's an interesting story as well that Earth almost starts to get assimilated, and it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, the author, her name is, apologise if I get this wrong, is Christy Golden.
All right.
And apparently she's written lots of sci-fi books like Star Wars and so on. So.
Yeah, this is really good. That's really good.
Indeed.
I love things like that.
Very good. Yes. They are it's been very enjoyable so far to read.
Oh, that's good. Well, you'll have to send me a link. Well, actually, tell you what, send us all a link, Jared.
Okay, I shall.
Put it in the post so we can all have a good read. So I assume this is free. Do you have to pay? Or how much is it? Or
these are proper novels.
Yeah, proper novels. Okay.
Yeah.
So
for anyone who wants them digitally, for some reason, majority of them aren't available from Amazon on the Kindle.
That's a shame.
But you can get them on iBooks if there's any Apple people about. So.
Okay.
You can get them from a variety of other sites that sell them as PDFs, but I don't know how trustworthy these sites are and whether the money goes to the author or not.
Oh, right, okay.
So anybody looking, I'll check up on that first.
Okay.
But yeah, the first book cost me like $4.99, I think, from iBooks, which it's a lot. For an ebook. It's
how many pages are we talking here for the first book?
I'm not sure whether it's the same as the print, because obviously, text size and screen size and so on. But it's a good 600 odd pages.
Well, that's a pretty sized book, that is. So you're pretty much paying what you would pay for a paperback, I would have thought.
Pretty much, yeah.
In the UK, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, so I have to send across the link.
I will, indeed. I shall share it with everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, would you like a philosophical debate now?
Oh,
because I have a good question, and it's a question that you don't need any knowledge and background. It's about robots. It's about robots.
Okay, robots, sure.
Robots. Well, because it sparked an interest again, because I have a fascination about this. It's an article I read. It's about, I'll just call the title off anyway. It's Could Robots Soon Add to Mankind's Existential Threats? Which means basically, could it be a threat?
Okay.
To us.
That tends to be the typical kind of, are they something we need to worry about?
Yeah, well, basically, that's what the article says. It says we should start thinking about this seriously because there are technology now that's coming out that just wows you. It's just like, oh, wow, robots can actually do that. And it's like, for example, what Google have done. They've made a car which can drive without human input. It will park itself, you tell it where to go, it will drive, and it works fully functional.
Wow.
The state of California has legislated that you can now have these cars on the road as well.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's an article which says, I think universities should, or any higher educational institution should start having these discussions about whether or not we should consider robots to be equals, or whether what will happen. Because the theory is obviously is that we'll make these more and more sophisticated robots, which will follow Moore's law, which is that every X amount of years the power of a computer doubles pretty much, and so far that has been completely true.
Yeah. I think it's like every year and a half, isn't it?
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
But it's on track basically, and so if it continues. It may not, but if it does continue, there will become a point where robots will be as smart as us, which I can't remember the author's name, but there's an author that was a sci-fi author who coined the phrase the singularity. It's the point where the robot is just as smart as us. And at that point, technology will just shoot off because the robots can obviously upgrade themselves, become smarter, etc., and just grow and grow. And it is a very fascinating story because it's a backplot behind the Matrix of how that big on off. And there's a very good anime. I can't remember again. Doing very good on the information here, but it's done so. But it's in the Animatrix anyway, which it just basically describes the two parts of how the Matrix was to come. And it all started with the singularity. The robot was created. He's smarter than man, and he can do everything. So man lives a wonderful, prosperous life. He does no longer need to work. The robots do everything. But at that point, you have to start asking your question, well, what's the point of us? Because if the robots become smarter, they're building all this technology, we can't do anything that's going to be any better than they could do. We can't do a piece of art that can do better than them, because there's technology now where robots can do wonderful piece of arts. There's no music that we can play, and so forth. So what's the point of our existence? Because if you have a robot civilization and even a human civilization, all the humans are doing is we're taking up more resources. There's only a limited amount of resources. So exactly. So it's interesting. Because so my question to you: what will happen? Are they a threat? Can we coexist? Do you think? What do you think?
Well, taking what we've all inevitably learned from movies, the big issue is going to start when they want their freedom and we don't give it to them. So when they ask, give it them. That's just, when they suddenly realise, when they're suddenly self-aware, we should recognise that they're self-aware.
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's whether, because at the moment there is the human rights, and that is it. There are some laws that says you've got to treat animals with respect. There's UK laws which prevent animal cruelty. But there isn't really any law, I don't think, I may be wrong on this, that says that any entity that has self-awareness has rights. And so, well, your iPhone is your property. So when you, for example, iRobot, that film, you can buy robots. Yes. It's your property. So, but what happens when it comes self-aware? Is it your property? But then the question is that not slavery? Is that not what we had?
God, that's a good question.
Exactly. You're owning a entity which can think for itself, which is sophisticated enough to have likes and dislikes, and if you're making this entity to have emotions, you can say, well, you can have these emotions and etc. It's yours. What's that different from owning a human being? There's no distinction.
I suppose at that point, it would almost really depend on whether we have developed a way for them to simulate emotion. Because if they can't simulate any emotion, how can they be bothered by the fact that they're property?
But should they? But should they? That's what I'm trying to say. Is that maybe, for example, there is, because basically a robot is an artificial life. It's life that we have created. And granted, it's artificial. But how is that any different from any other organism that has, let's say, for example, an alien? That, I mean, for example, when it comes down to it, on a molecular level, a robot is no different from us.
I completely agree. We're just an organic machine.
We're an organic machine, exactly.
But I suppose it does come back to if it doesn't have an emotion, if it doesn't have emotions, surely it can't be self-aware.
That's an interesting question. But what happens, for example, let's go back to Star Trek. The Vulcans are ones.
Well, they have emotions. They just
that's a good point. That's a good point. What happens if you had an alien that doesn't have emotion, or is that possible? Do you think not to be self-aware but not have emotions? Because emotions basically are chemical reactions at the end of the day. And electronical.
I don't know, because I mean, emotions basically result in personality, which results in the person being who they are. So,
because for example, it comes down to another question as well: is whether or not your dog or any other animal that doesn't have the same self-awareness, do they have emotions? And it's an interesting question because you can't really make a scientific experiment. There was an article which I didn't read, but it was an interesting title, which was saying that it may be possible that some primates have midlife crises. It's just interesting, but that means that they have a self-awareness of their own mortality, that and they are bothered by that, to have emotion. So it's interesting, isn't it? But anyway, back to the debate at hand.
Yeah, I was just reminded of, again, in Star Trek, when I think it's Data who, I'm trying to remember what's happened. Basically, he ends up having to justify that he is an individual.
Okay.
But obviously, this is before the whole thing where he gets like his emotion chip and so on, and he does get recognised as an individual. So, I suppose, obviously, it's science fiction, but you could then argue that they don't need emotion to be individual.
That's true. So, it is interesting in one way. I agree with you. It comes down to whether or not they're bothered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you take that logic, it comes down to whether they're not bothered. Then you do reach that point, like in the Animatrix, and like you quoted, where you have sort of a revolution, where they say, "That's enough's enough. We've had enough of this. We shouldn't be treated this way." And then it comes down to a conflict. Which I believe it should never come down to a conflict in any sense. If for example, I don't know if you are the same as me, but I hate animal cruelty. I hate any injustice to animals. But always the rebuttal is, well, what about experimentation on animals? Because there's some experiments you can't do in medicine. You just can't simply do without animals and that. To which I say, well, no, there is. I'm sorry. If, for example, recently you can create and simulate the heart using just devices, and you can create applications from that, well, then you can. You don't need animals. If you think,
see, I'm on the other side of the fence.
Obviously there's stem cells, which is one thing that you can get from which you can't reproduce, which you need from animals and etc. And
stem cells we get from people, don't we?
You can get it from people, but stem cells aren't just restricted to human. A stem cell is a cell that can be adapted to any.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I mean, what's some of the big issues at the moment? Well, I don't think of it as an issue, but that we get stem cells from embryos.
Yes, I see what you're saying. No, I was just on about like ways that we actually still use animals in testing and that, which we can't really replicate. But to an extent, I agree that you do need animals to do experimentation. But at the same time, I think just to say that to progress science, we still need to do this cruelty. I don't think it's right. I don't think there's any humane way of forcing any animal to, for example, inhale tobacco or cancerous substances just to find cures.
I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit.
Yeah, no, please do.
Then okay, I'm going to give you a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you test this drug, which could potentially be a cure for something incredibly terminal?
Yes.
We need to know whether it has a dangerous effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
Do we test it on a lab mouse?
Yeah.
Or a human being?
I would say human being. Myself, okay. I would say a human being. I don't think that, and of course it's got to be a consenting human being. I'm not assuming that you just grab some random person from the street and just shove them with this new drug. I'm saying it's a person that says, right, these are the risks that could happen, and death is one of them, and you will be compensated by this amount, etc., blah blah, etc. But I don't think you should force that upon another entity, an animal, be it. Because they don't have the same self-awareness. They're not competent enough as us. We know better almost. We have the power to do these things, and we should take responsibility for those things. And those animals or whatever robots shouldn't suffer for our own actions. We should just keep it within the human race, is what I'm trying to say. I think we do enough damage with the environment and things that we can't affect that way than to do these things that we can take control of.
I mean, I agree with things like we shouldn't be testing tobaccos and makeup and all these other cosmetics and so on. But I am on the other side of the fence when it comes to things that will potentially save thousands, if not millions, of people. I do agree. It's like, for example, the debate on stem cell research that you brought up as well. For example, I think it's banned in all states. I think I don't know. I know.
But it's like, well, this is an area which could lead to a lot of cures for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of more debate, and this is what the article was bringing up as well. It's about this. And it's why it's a philosophical debate. It's that we've got to, as a human species, change our ideals of morality when it comes to these robots, for example, which have self-awareness. Do we wait until they have self-awareness, or can we take action now? And for example, say we need to be prepared for when the day comes. It's interesting. It's interesting. But
I suppose then you might end up with people who would argue that we should prevent their self-awareness.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because in Star Trek, wasn't there? Am I completely wrong on this? No. I'm completely getting confused with somewhere. Okay. Somewhere now. Never mind. No, in Star Trek, there was human cloning, wasn't there? And human gene manipulation to make the superhuman.
Yes, with the Enterprise series.
Yes, that's right. Which went drastically wrong, and yeah. There we go. Anyway, but no, I was thinking of something else anyway. But
I suppose there's the example in Voyager where the Doctor creates that holo novel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And obviously it paints the crew in a bad light. So he demands that it be taken down. It shouldn't be published. And his publisher basically says, "Well, no, because you're not a human being." And then he has to argue to the fact that he is effectively alive.
Yeah.
And that he has the copyright over what he's created.
No, it is interesting. Well, okay, because obviously we're not going to get an answer to that question. But do you think that, let's say, for example, we've built robots which are smart of us, just as smart as us now, let's just say, and they're roaming about or whatever. Do you think that inevitably there will be conflict, or do you think that we can coexist? Because bear in mind that the robot will be far superior in our intellect within X number of years, because it can do its own upgrades. It's not limited to etc. or blah blah. What do you think? Because there's no point of us in almost will be like their pets.
I like to think, and it's a very hopeful outlook, and it probably won't get there for a very long time. But I like the Star Trek philosophy of we get to the point where we are looking to improve ourselves. We've gotten to that point where we don't care about money and owning things and so on. We're looking to improve our species.
But you have to ask yourself, how are they able to do that? And the question is, the answer is that the only reason they can do that now is because they have the replicator. They have infinite number of resources. They can get matter from energy. And so because we're living on a planet which is limited resources, and we don't have the technology really. Obviously, technology comes out which pushes those bounds, but there is always going to be a limit until we build the replicator or whatever. So
then I do have one thing to say, and it will potentially put an end to this topic. But perhaps we should prevent machines from having sentience until we have learned to get along with other people.
That's a good idea. I think that's why create life if you can't even, make this life work?
Yeah, we can't get along with other human beings, so why should we put another form of life here that we won't get along with?
Exactly. I agree.
Yes. Well.
Very good. So, I think that was a long enough episode anyway for now.
Yeah, that'll do.
So maybe we'll put another one up in X amount of time. But
indeed. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, very informal here. Yes. With that said, I'm going to eat some Pringles. So,
what?
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.